The vast, cold emptiness of space seemed to hold its breath as the alien research vessel, Starweaver, approached the small blue planet. Captain Wu Kim adjusted his neural interface, scanning the unfamiliar solar system with a mixture of scientific curiosity and professional caution. Humans were a relatively new discovery in the galactic database, a young species occupying a modest planetary system, technologically emerging but seemingly unremarkable. The standard xenobiological protocols suggested a routine survey, nothing more. Dr. J. Park, the lead genetic researcher, prepared his scanning equipment. His fingers moved across holographic displays, calibrating molecular sensors designed to extract and analyze genetic material from planetary inhabitants. Decades of interstellar research had taught him that every species held secrets, but nothing could prepare him for what they were about to discover. The initial DNA sample came from a random human subject, David Richards, a 35-year-old software engineer from a city called Seattle. As the molecular scanner began its intricate analysis, something unusual started to emerge. The genetic sequence wasn't just complex, it seemed deliberately structured. "Captain," Dr. Park called out, his voice unusually tense, "you need to see this." The holographic display flickered, revealing layers of genetic information that defied conventional understanding. Typical alien species had predictable genetic patterns, linear, straightforward adaptations developed over millions of years of evolution. But this human DNA was different. It contained what seemed like encrypted sequences, dormant genetic markers that suggested an extraordinary potential for adaptation. Captain Kim leaned closer. His species had encountered thousands of planetary civilizations, but never something quite like this. The genetic structure seemed to have multiple fail-safe mechanisms, hidden switches that could potentially trigger radical biological transformations. "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" Dr. Park whispered. The genetic map showed remarkable complexity. Certain sequences appeared to be deliberately compressed, like biological information waiting to be unlocked. It was as if the human genetic code was a complex puzzle, with most of its pieces intentionally hidden from immediate view. Standard xenobiological protocols suggested a careful, methodical approach. But something about this discovery demanded immediate attention. These genetic sequences hinted at a potential that went beyond mere biological adaptation. They suggested a species with an extraordinary, perhaps even engineered capacity for survival. David Richards, completely unaware of the cosmic significance of his genetic material, continued his ordinary life. He would be preparing for work, drinking morning coffee, checking emails, while light years away, alien researchers were uncovering the extraordinary secret embedded in his very DNA. The research team began cross-referencing the genetic data. Each comparison revealed more questions than answers. The genetic structure contained multiple layers of complexity that seemed almost intentional, not random evolutionary development, but something that suggested deliberate design. "This isn't natural evolution," Dr. Park muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "This looks like a blueprint." Captain Kim's tentacular appendages moved across additional scanning interfaces. The implications were profound. If these genetic sequences were accurate, humans possessed a hidden potential that could fundamentally challenge everything known about biological development in the galaxy. The Starweaver continued its silent observation, its advanced sensors capturing every microscopic detail of the genetic marvel they had discovered. Somewhere between the compressed genetic markers and the mysterious adaptive sequences lay a secret that could reshape understanding of life itself. No one on the alien vessel spoke. The silence was thick with anticipation, fear, and an overwhelming sense that they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. Humans, this seemingly unremarkable species from a small blue planet, carried within their genetic code a potential that was both terrifying and magnificent. As the first rays of sunlight began to illuminate the Seattle skyline, David Richards remained blissfully unaware that his very existence represented a cosmic mystery waiting to be unraveled. The first contact had begun, not with a dramatic arrival or a massive invasion, but with a simple genetic scan that would change everything humanity and the galaxy understood about life, evolution, and potential. The research laboratory hummed with an electric tension as Dr. Elena Rodriguez carefully examined the latest genetic analysis. Her hands trembled slightly, not from weakness but from the profound understanding emerging before her eyes. Days had passed since the initial discovery of David Richards' unusual genetic structure. The alien research team from the Star Weaver had been working non-stop, their excitement growing with each new revelation. What had started as a routine genetic scan had transformed into something far more extraordinary. Microscopic genetic markers revealed themselves like hidden treasure. These weren't just simple mutations or standard evolutionary adaptations. These were sophisticated biological switches, carefully compressed and waiting to be activated. It was as if human DNA contained a complex survival program, far more advanced than any species they had encountered. Dr. J. Park pulled up holographic projections, showing how these genetic sequences could potentially restructure human cellular systems under extreme conditions. The implications were staggering. Most species had linear genetic development, slow, predictable changes over millions of years. Humans seemed to have a built-in rapid adaptation mechanism. Look at this sequence. He pointed to a particularly complex genetic strand. It's like a biological computer program. These markers could potentially trigger complete physiological transformations within a single generation. Captain Woo Kim watched silently, his alien understanding struggling to comprehend the complexity before him. The genetic code suggested that humans could potentially modify their own biology in response to environmental challenges. Not gradually, like most species, but rapidly and dramatically. The research team discovered multiple layers of genetic potential. Under extreme stress, these dormant sequences could activate, allowing humans to rapidly modify immune responses, enhance neural connectivity, restructure muscle and bone density, optimize metabolic processes. It was a survival mechanism beyond anything in the known galactic database. Most species adapted over thousands of generations. Humans seemed capable of internal genetic reprogramming almost instantaneously. David Richards, still unaware of the cosmic significance of his DNA, continued his ordinary life. He would be working on computer systems, solving complex software problems, completely oblivious that his genetic code represented a potential evolutionary revolution. The alien researchers worked tirelessly, running simulation after simulation. Each test revealed more questions than answers. The genetic structure wasn't just adaptive, it seemed deliberately designed. But by whom, and for what purpose? One particular genetic sequence caught Dr. Rodriguez's attention. It appeared to be a complex encryption, almost like a biological algorithm waiting to be decoded. Traditional understanding of genetics suggested such complexity was impossible. Yet here it was, embedded within human DNA. "This isn't natural evolution," she whispered. "This looks like a blueprint." The implications were both exciting and terrifying. If these genetic markers could be fully understood, they represented a potential breakthrough in understanding biological adaptation. Humans weren't just another species. They were a living, breathing genetic experiment. Captain Kim reviewed the data, his alien perspective struggling to process the information. Most galactic species had predictable genetic development. Humans appeared to have a built-in survival mechanism that could fundamentally alter their biological structure in response to environmental challenges. The research team began discussing the potential origins of these genetic anomalies. Were they the result of natural evolution, a deliberate genetic engineering project, or something even more mysterious? As the Star Weaver continued its silent observation, the genetic secrets of humanity continued to unfold. Each analysis revealed another layer of complexity, another hint at the extraordinary potential hidden within human DNA. David Richards would never know how his simple genetic sample had become the center of the most significant xenobiological discovery in galactic history. To him, it was just another ordinary day. But in the cold, silent depths of space, an alien research team was uncovering a truth that would challenge everything known about life, evolution, and the potential of biological systems. The genetic anomalies were just the beginning. Humanity's true potential was waiting to be unleashed. The research facility aboard the Starweaver had become a place of intense concentration. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, her eyes reflecting the complex genetic sequences that seemed to dance and shift before her. The hidden mechanism within human DNA was no longer just a theory. It was becoming a terrifying reality. Each layer of genetic code revealed a sophisticated system of biological programming that defied conventional understanding of evolution. Dr. J. Park discovered something unprecedented. The human genetic structure contained what could only be described as biological switches, dormant sequences that could activate under specific environmental or physiological stress conditions. These weren't simple mutations. They were precise, calculated adaptation protocols. "It's like their entire genetic code is a survival machine," Park muttered, tracing the intricate genetic pathways. Each sequence is a potential transformation waiting to be triggered. The alien research team identified multiple hidden mechanisms. Under extreme conditions, human DNA could potentially rapidly modify cellular structures, enhance neural network connectivity, activate dormant genetic potential, restructure physiological systems for maximum survival, Captain. Woo Kim watched the analysis with a mixture of fear and fascination. Most galactic species took millions of years to develop basic adaptive capabilities. Humans seem to have a built-in, rapid evolution protocol embedded directly in their genetic code. David Richards, the original source of the genetic sample, continued his ordinary life. He would be walking through Seattle drinking coffee, solving software problems, completely unaware that his DNA represented a cosmic mystery of unprecedented complexity. The most shocking discovery came when the researchers ran advanced simulation models. Under extreme stress, environmental challenges, physical trauma, or potential extinction-level events, human genetic code could potentially trigger a complete biological reset. It was like having a built-in emergency survival program. One particular genetic sequence caught Dr. Rodriguez's attention. It appeared to be a complex encryption, a biological algorithm that could potentially rewrite entire genetic structures within a single generation. Traditional understanding of genetics suggested such complexity was impossible. "This isn't evolution," she whispered. "This is deliberate design." The alien team began to construct theories. Were these genetic mechanisms the result of natural development, a forgotten technological intervention, or something far more mysterious? Each question led to more complex possibilities. The genetic switches were precise. They weren't random mutations but carefully compressed biological instructions. Under specific conditions, humans could potentially enhance physical capabilities, develop advanced immune responses, modify neural processing speeds, restructure internal biological systems. Captain Kim reviewed the data, his alien perspective struggling to comprehend the implications. Most species developed adaptive capabilities over thousands of generations. Humans seemed capable of internal genetic reprogramming almost instantaneously. The research continued day and night. The Starweaver's advanced systems worked tirelessly, analyzing every microscopic detail of the genetic marvel they had discovered. Somewhere between the compressed genetic markers and the mysterious adaptive sequences lay a secret that could reshape understanding of life itself. No one on the alien vessel spoke much anymore. The silence was thick with anticipation and a growing sense of both fear and respect. Humans, this seemingly unremarkable species from a small blue planet, carried within their genetic code a potential that was both terrifying and magnificent. As another Seattle sunset painted the sky, David Richards remained unaware of the cosmic significance of his genetic inheritance. To him, it was just another ordinary day of software engineering and routine life. But in the cold, silent depths of space, an alien research team was uncovering a truth that would challenge everything known about biological potential, evolution, and the very nature of adaptive life. The hidden mechanism was no longer just a theory. It was a reality waiting to be understood, a biological blueprint of extraordinary complexity and potential. Humanity's genetic secret was about to change everything. The galactic containment protocols began to crumble like fragile glass. What started as a careful scientific observation had transformed into a desperate attempt to control a potential cosmic threat. Captain Wu Kim watched in growing alarm as the human species demonstrated an unexpected resilience that defied all established alien scientific understanding. The Starweaver had initiated standard quarantine procedures, attempting to limit human technological and genetic research. But something extraordinary was happening. Dr. Elena Rodriguez tracked the containment breach with mounting tension. Human, technological innovation was moving faster than the alien confederation could predict. Every time they implemented a restriction, humans found a way around it. It was like trying to catch water with bare hands. The first significant breach occurred through a seemingly innocent channel. A young computer engineer named Michael Chen, completely unaware of the cosmic significance of his actions, developed a breakthrough in quantum communication technology. What the alien researchers didn't realize was that this innovation was a direct result of the hidden genetic potential they had discovered in human DNA. Communication networks across the human systems began to evolve at an unprecedented rate. Technological barriers meant to slow human progress simply became pathways for even more advanced development. The alien containment team watched in disbelief as humans transformed limitations into opportunities. David Richards, the original genetic sample source, continued working on advanced software systems. His team was developing adaptive AI algorithms that seemed to mirror the very genetic flexibility the alien researchers had discovered. Each breakthrough was another crack in the containment wall. The alien confederation strategies began to fail one by one. Attempts to limit human space exploration resulted in more innovative propulsion technologies. Efforts to restrict communication networks led to more complex encryption methods. Every single containment attempt became a catalyst for human innovation. Dr. J. Park observed the unfolding scenario with a mixture of scientific fascination and growing concern. "They're not just adapting," he told Captain Kim. "They're transforming every limitation into an opportunity for growth." The genetic potential hidden within human DNA was now manifesting in technological innovation. What the aliens saw as a potential threat, humans saw as a challenge to be solved. Each restricted pathway became a new avenue of exploration. Quantum communication networks expanded rapidly. Advanced AI systems emerged that seemed to learn and adapt faster than any known technological system in the galaxy. The humans were doing something unprecedented. They were turning genetic potential into technological evolution. Communication intercepts revealed a fascinating human characteristic. Instead of being intimidated by technological barriers, they saw them as puzzles to be solved. Where other species might have become discouraged, humans became more determined. Captain Kim realized something profound was happening. The containment wasn't failing. It was being systematically dismantled by human innovation. Their genetic potential wasn't just biological. It was a comprehensive survival and growth mechanism that operated across multiple domains. The Starweaver research team watched in growing alarm as human technological capabilities expanded exponentially. What had started as a simple genetic study was now revealing itself as something far more complex, a species with an extraordinary capacity for adaptation and innovation. By the time the alien confederation realized the full extent of their miscalculation, it was too late. Human technological development had already moved beyond their ability to control or predict. The containment protocols that were meant to restrict had instead become the catalyst for an unprecedented evolutionary leap. David Richards would never know how his simple genetic sample had become the trigger for a cosmic transformation. To him, it was just another day of solving complex technological challenges. But in the vast, silent depths of space, a fundamental shift was occurring. Humans were no longer just another developing species. They were becoming something entirely unexpected, a technological and biological force that could reshape galactic understanding. The containment had failed, and something extraordinary was about to emerge. The moment of transformation began quietly, almost imperceptibly. Humanity's hidden genetic potential was about to reveal itself in ways no one could have predicted. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the first signs of breakthrough with a mixture of scientific wonder and profound unease. The genetic markers they had discovered years ago were no longer dormant. They were activating, spreading through human populations like a silent, powerful wave of biological evolution. David Richards, the original genetic sample source, felt the first subtle changes during a routine medical examination. His body was processing information differently. Neural connections seemed sharper. Physical recovery happened faster. But these were just the earliest hints of something much larger. Around the world, humans began experiencing unexplained biological improvements. Athletes discovered increased stamina. Scientists found their cognitive abilities expanding. Medical patients experienced accelerated healing. What seemed like random occurrences were actually the first signs of a species-wide genetic activation. The Starweaver research team watched in stunned silence. Captain Wu Kim realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history, a species rapidly transforming through its own internal genetic mechanisms. Dr. J. Park's research revealed the extraordinary truth. The hidden genetic switches were not just adapting, they were systematically upgrading human biological systems. Immune responses became more sophisticated. Neurological processing grew more complex. Physical limitations began to dissolve. Technological development accelerated alongside biological transformation. Quantum computing systems developed by human engineers started showing characteristics that defied previous technological understanding. It was as if human innovation and biological evolution were happening simultaneously, feeding each other's growth. The Alien Confederation's worst fears were being realized. Humans were not just adapting, they were fundamentally redesigning themselves at a genetic level, transforming from a seemingly primitive civilization into something entirely unexpected. Medical researchers documented extraordinary changes. Human cellular structures were becoming more efficient. Genetic repair mechanisms worked faster. The human body was literally redesigning itself, eliminating genetic weaknesses and enhancing survival capabilities. Neuroscientists discovered that human-brain connectivity was expanding. Neural networks were developing more complex patterns, allowing for faster learning and more sophisticated problem-solving. What once took years of study could now be comprehended in weeks. The evolutionary breakthrough wasn't just biological, it was comprehensive. Technological innovation, biological adaptation, and cognitive expansion were happening simultaneously. Humans were transforming from within, becoming something beyond their previous limitations. Captain Kim watched the data streams with a growing sense of both terror and respect. Most galactic species took millions of years to develop basic adaptive capabilities. Humans were accomplishing this in mere decades, perhaps even years. Around the world, people began to notice subtle changes. Enhanced physical capabilities. Faster healing. More intuitive problem-solving skills. What seemed like individual improvements were actually signs of a species-wide genetic transformation. The Starweaver research team realized they were no longer observing. They were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented. Humans were not just evolving. They were deliberately redesigning themselves at a fundamental genetic level. David Richards continued his work, now with enhanced cognitive abilities he didn't fully understand. To him, these changes felt natural, almost ordinary. He had no idea. He was at the center of a cosmic evolutionary event. Dr. Rodriguez compiled the final research report. The genetic mechanisms they had discovered years ago were not a dormant curiosity. They were a sophisticated biological technology, a survival protocol designed to transform the human species when necessary. The Alien Confederation faced a profound realization. Humans were no longer just another developing species. They were becoming a dynamic, rapidly evolving civilization with capabilities that challenged everything known about biological development. As another sunset painted the sky over Seattle, humanity continued its quiet transformation. No dramatic announcements, no global proclamations, just a silent, powerful evolution occurring at the genetic level. The breakthrough had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The universe was about to meet a new kind of species, one that could reshape itself, adapt instantly, and transform beyond all previous understanding.